And welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Investor Guys podcast. Mr. Bill Barnett, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, my brother. It's always great to see you enjoying a cup of bulletproof coffee. My favorite mug with this picture is pretty old, but it's pictures of my boys, my middle son. This one is starting his first classes at Oklahoma today as a sophomore. And then this one is starting his second week of school as a sophomore in high school. So that's gosh, this mug is 4 or 5 years old.
And you know what that means, right? It means we're getting older too.
Yeah, we are.
And you know what? The mugs are holding up better than we are. So
that is true, my friend. That is true. The mugs are doing their job. So
today I was thinking we might talk about something we've kind of talked a little bit about here and there at different times, but let's just jump in both feet and let's do a show today and let's do a show next Thursday on tax liens and tax deeds. And let's focus today on tax deeds and we'll focus on Thursday on tax liens. And honestly, we're not going to go into even the breakdown of what the differences are between liens and deeds because you should already know that. But if you watch both shows, you'll understand those differences. Now, a tax deed and a tax lien for us as investors, okay, and whether you decide you want to do this or not, this is something that I've done. This is something that Bill's done. This is not something that I still do. I don't know if Bill does or not. To me, it's not worth the time and the effort for the return on the investment. When someone doesn't pay their taxes, if you own property, you know this. If you don't pay your taxes, sooner or later, you're going to lose your property to the county. That's either done through a lien or a deed. The specifics of that, like I said, we'll get into on each of the different shows. Today, we're going to talk about deeds. And one of the best deed states, and we'll get into that as well, is Texas, right there where Bill is sitting. And the two big reasons for Texas being a great place is, first of all, you get 25% return on your investment, which is in tax deed and lien lingo, that's the biggest, okay? 25% and 50% year two, if it goes into year two. Your redemption period in Texas is 6 months unless the property is homesteaded, and then it's 2 years. We'll get into some specifics on that, but I want to jump to another state that works a little different and is also a deed state, and that is California. Now, California, Bill actually has some information on the property tax debt that's coming up this particular 2021, okay, for California, to give you an idea of the amount of money that these counties take in every year on property tax. And then we'll go into the specifics on how it works in California, and then we'll also cover Texas.
So the newly released, just this year for one county, LA County, of course, it's the biggest county in California, and it's one of the biggest counties in the country, population-wise. LA County property tax for the year is 1.76 trillion with a T as
capital
in
T.
Terrible. $1.76 trillion. How in the, this is the old, for years, I managed money for high net worth individuals, a lot of doctors. And I was naive enough that I wondered many times, how in the world do these guys not have two nickels to rub together? They make $800,000 a year, 300,000, 500, whatever the number happens to be. And I was talking to my dad one day and we were reacting about this, and he goes, well, you understand how that works, right? And I'm like, well, no, that's why we're talking about it. And he goes, well, if you make 500,000 a year and you spend 510,000 a year, you don't have two nickels to rub together. And so here is LA County, and here's the state of California. LA County bringing in $1.76 trillion in 1 year on this one tax alone, and yet just drowning in red ink as the whole state is. And that's it's almost hard to fathom. But
To
if
put that
you,
in some quick perspective, that's almost $2 trillion. Okay. That is more than what they're trying to pass right now in Congress. Okay. That is going to straddle the American people with additional tax debt. That's how much money we're talking about. Now, the way this works in California, if you don't pay your property tax, okay, you have 5 years before your property goes to tax sale. So if you don't pay your taxes for 5 years, you've got 5 years to get them caught up. So if you don't pay in 5 years, that is on you, because 5 years is more than enough time. If you don't pay your property taxes, it will go to a sale. And the sale is held at the LA Arboretum, and it's right on the edge of Pasadena. I think it's actually Arcadia, California, which is Los Angeles County. And they spend days and days, and they go over every single property. It can be improved properties. That means it has a structure on it. It can be unimproved properties. That means it's just vacant land. Once you purchase that deed, you have 6 months to exercise that, whether you're going to take possession of that property or not. If there's somebody in that property, you are responsible for giving them the legal notice, serving them, and evicting them from that property, because you are now the owner of the property. Now, we're coming up on a break, but we're going to talk about the difference between a deed and a warranty deed, because when we buy deeds from tax sale, they are not warranty deeds. So we have just a plain deed, or in the case of Texas, it's a hybrid. It's called a hybrid deed, which is a lien that converts to a deed, which really is what most states have anyway. We'll get to that in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break.
thanks, Dan.
You want to be a real estate investing millionaire? Be able to buy a luxury car or maybe a nice boat? How about a bigger house in a nice neighborhood? Being a real estate millionaire is a dream come true for so many, and it was for me at one time also. But in a world of $500,000 cars, multi-million-dollar planes, and yachts, and vacation homes that cost in the tens of millions of dollars, why would I settle for just being a millionaire? I want more, and you should too. New for 2022, the Billionaire Training Academy, the only program of its type designed to create billionaires. This program is not about real estate strategies. It's about scaling real estate strategies, starting small and growing into multi-million-dollar deals and beyond. It's about the business of building a billion-dollar real estate empire, setting your business up to do and obtain business credit, funding, and more. Understanding where to go and how to obtain literally limitless funding for real estate projects, and being able to put together the types of high caliber projects that are going to show multi-million-dollar profits for your business. This program is about building your business team, business structure, structuring partnerships, and attracting more investment capital than you'll ever have projects to apply it to. This program will show you how to build a billion-dollar real estate investing empire by building the business that will drive it, power it, support it, manage it, and more. This is not an event where we're going to try and dazzle you with light shows and feel-good sing-alongs. This is an exclusive 1-week intensive program. This is Billionaire CEO Training Bootcamp. This is roll up your sleeves, get to work, and get started right away. From the moment you arrive, we'll treat you like the CEO founder of a growing billion-dollar real estate investing company that you are. Come ready to get started, and that is exactly what will happen. Read more and get signed up at the billionairetrainingacademy.com. That's billionairetrainingacademy.com.
11 months out of the year, Bill and I host real estate buyers events in cities like Cleveland, Ohio, where we ourselves invest and see great returns. We show investors the types of strategies we're using, the types of properties we're using. We introduce them to people here on the ground and the resources that they can use to get started right away. Day 4 of this event, we're actually touring properties and making offers on properties. This event was designed to put properties in your portfolio right away, high-performing properties. Read more about the Real Estate Buyers event. Get registered. We'll see you at the next event, realestatebuyersevent.com.
And we're back, and today we're talking tax, liens, and deeds, primarily deeds today, and we'll do liens on Thursday, so make sure you catch that show on Thursday. And quick plug, if you guys want to catch any of our shows, investorguyspodcast.com, investorguyspodcast.com. We're also on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube. If you catch us anywhere, like us, share us, follow us,
subscribe, all that stuff.
How many people are out there paying attention to what's going on? So getting back, go ahead.
I was doing a podcast on hard money last week with my great friend Dutch Mendenhall, and Dutch was like, man, I listen to the Investor Guys podcast every chance that I get. And so what platforms are you on? And I'm like, you're kidding, right? And he said, no, what platforms are you on? I'm like, well, what do you listen to us on? He said, well, I listen to you on Spotify, but are you on anything else? I was like, no, we're not. We're only on like 18 other platforms.
Yeah.
If you can think of it, we're on there.
We are. We're on Apple Music. We are on Pandora. We are out there pretty much everywhere. And that's honestly, that's because fortunately there's a service that we use that puts us out onto all of those. We're not actually putting them out individually into each one of those different ones. What I really like about it,
so hard to do that.
What's that?
That's because we work so hard to do that.
We work
give away
with
trade
other
secrets.
things, trying to keep up with all this. What I like about this is a lot of podcasts don't do the video, and I like that somebody can actually come and watch, our video and our crazy looking faces. And every once in a while, we actually do graphics and things like that we put up on the screen. So I think that's beneficial if you have the time and you have the ability to catch us. You see our handsome mugs on your phone or computer screen or wherever. You're in for a treat. So if you need to catch that, you can do that. Like I said, Investor Guys podcast. We're also on Facebook, and we are also on YouTube. Now, jumping back into tax deeds. Texas is one of the greatest places that you can buy tax deeds. And let's go over that process really quick, because different states have different processes. In some states, you bid down the interest on the deed. In other states, you bid the amount up on the deed. Now, we'll go over the differences of how that works, but real quick, in Texas, what is it? Are we bidding up?
You're going to bid up, bidding up, yeah.
So we're bidding
up.
It's
going to start with the owed amount, and then what are you willing to pay over that?
Right. Now,
let's clarify a couple of myths that people have about liens, deeds, and tax certificates as well. So what is the purpose? What's the motivation? Why is it that people want to buy a lien, deed, or certificate?
You're asking me? It's for the return. Actually, it depends. A lot of people, especially when they're new, they think they're going to get the property. I would say 99% of the time, you're not going to get the property.
Right.
Okay?
So you hit it. There is two reasons. You hit both of them. The first one is
return on your investment.
They're getting a great rate of return if they don't know any better. 25% sounds like an amazing rate of return if you don't know any better. You and I look at 40 and 50 as the absolute minimum year on year, and we're walking if we're not getting that. And typically we're getting significantly above that because we know other things that are just as safe and could possibly, sounds sacrilegious, but could possibly be even safer than a lien, deed, or certificate. Now, so that dispels myth number one. And then myth number two is, I'm going to get a house, and I have a really good friend, great marketer. You know him as well. I'm not going to embarrass him by calling his name out, who has made millions and millions of dollars teaching people how to buy liens, deeds, and certificates. But the facts are which I don't create these. If you look at statistically, it's less than 3% of homes are foreclosed on for non-payment of property taxes. Does it happen? Well, yeah, it does happen. But you got a 2.5% chance, 2.75% chance, less than 3 of getting it. So if you're going in for that reason, then you just need to know that on the front end. If you're going in because you think this is an incredible rate of return, then you need to look at what other things are out there, and we will teach you how to get amazing rates of return. So when necessary, I feel the urge to be the myth buster with real estate, and that's one of them.
Bubble to bust also. From somebody who has gotten properties and knows people who've gotten properties, most times if you do actually end up with the property, it is usually trashed. It is, and that trashed is your best hope, honestly, when you get this particular property. A lot of times people will bid on properties. They don't know which property they bid on. They bid on the wrong property, and they get out there to check it out. And it's a property that burnt down, which is why nobody paid the property taxes on it. Do your due diligence. But again, if you're going to do this, you need to be doing this because you're wanting that 25% the first year and 50% the second year. And again, this is the difference between homestead and non-homesteaded properties. So if a property is homesteaded, okay, you've got a 2-year redemption period on this property. Also, keep in mind, if they didn't pay the taxes on the tax year that you bought, they may not be paying the taxes on the following year or the following year either. Okay, they may pay it all at the very end just before they're going to lose their property. Now, if you've bought it first year, somebody can come in and buy those taxes again second year, and they buy you out of that position. So you've been bought out, you get your 25% return, but you no longer have that 50% position. They don't either. They bought it out at their year, and that's 25%. Now, one of the questions that I used to always have asked, and I know the answer, and I'm sure you do too, is when they bid up the amount on the tax lien. So the property owner, let's say the property owner owes $50,000. The deed goes for $75,000. Now, 2 questions. The 25%, is the 25% paid on 50,000 or is it paid on 75,000? And the homeowner only owes 50,000. So what happens to that additional $25,000? Does the county keep it?
Well, yeah, the county keeps it, and it's paid on the tax amount.
Okay, so the 50,000 is paid on the past due amount. Mm-hmm. The property owner can request anything that's paid over the past due property taxes. The property owner can request that. So
if they know that.
Yes, if they know that. So the county would have to actually issue a check for $25,000 to the property owner. Now,
and what happens if they don't know that?
If they don't know that, it depends upon the state, to be honest. It will go as a check at closing to the property owner when the property is defaulted upon, when they do the judgment for the default, or the county keeps it and it just goes into their slush fund.
Yeah.
Now,
which likely means that they're not going to get anything, because the great likelihood is, so I don't want people to get off on the wrong track with this. The likelihood is if they're not paying their property taxes, they're not paying their payments.
Right. And here's the other important thing too, before we go into break. Okay. We're talking about doing this for the right reasons. Again, the right reasons are because you want the return on your investment. If you bid $75,000 to get this particular tax deed, you're not getting 25% on 75,000. Right. You're getting 25% on 50,000. So you're actually getting closer to 18% on your money versus 25%. Yep. So, and this is always going to be one of those situations where it's bid up each time. They don't bid tax liens down. Deeds down. The only time they do that is if they're bidding down the interest. And like I said, different states do it different ways. Now, a couple of really quick points that we're going to make when we get back, and then we're going to talk about the difference between warranty deeds and non-warranty deeds, because this is also important when it comes time for purchasing tax deeds. We'll be back in just a minute.
Once a month, with the exception of December, Bill and I go to markets where we have experience and we host a real estate buyer's event. These are markets that have great return potential for your real estate portfolio. We're going to show you the properties that we buy. We're going to show you where to buy, where not to buy, the strategies to use to make great income from these properties. We're also going to show you resources and individuals here on the ground that you can use to start building your team so that you can repeat this process over and over. The real estate buyers events are designed to put high-performing properties in your portfolio right away. If you're interested in hearing more about the Real Estate Buyers Event, realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. Read more about the events, check out the schedule, and register. We'll see you there.
Want to be a real estate investing millionaire? Be able to buy a luxury car or maybe a nice boat? How about a bigger house in a nice neighborhood? Being a real estate millionaire is a dream come true for so many, and it was for me at one time also. But in a world of $500,000 cars, multi-million-dollar planes, and yachts, and vacation homes that cost in the tens of millions of dollars, why would I settle for just being a millionaire? I want more, and you should too. New for 2022, the Billionaire Training Academy, the only program of its type designed to create billionaires. This program is not about real estate strategies. It's about scaling real estate strategies, starting small and growing into multi-million-dollar deals and beyond. It's about the business of building a billion-dollar real estate empire, setting your business up to do and obtain business credit, funding, and more. Understanding where to go and how to obtain literally limitless funding for real estate projects, and being able to put together the types of high caliber projects that are going to show multi-million-dollar profits for your business. This program is about building your business team, business structure, structuring partnerships, and attracting more investment capital than you'll ever have projects to apply it to. This program will show you how to build a billion-dollar real estate investing empire by building the business that will drive it, power it, support it, manage it, and more. This is not an event where we're going to try and dazzle you with light shows and feel-good sing-alongs. This is an exclusive one-week intensive program. This is Billionaire CEO Training Bootcamp. This is roll up your sleeves, get to work, and get started right away. From the moment you arrive, we'll treat you like the CEO, founder of a growing billion-dollar real estate investing company that you are. Come ready to get started, and that is exactly what will happen. Read more and get signed up at thebillionairetrainingacademy.com. That's billionairetrainingacademy.com.
Yeah, I told you my.
All right. And we are back. And today we are talking about tax deeds. And join us on Thursday and we'll talk about tax liens. Now, when you purchase the tax deed, and in most states, it's actually going to be they're called deed states and they're called lien states. But in deed states, it's typically a lien that is going to convert to a deed. Now, in Texas, because we're talking about Texas, as well as California, because we're talking about California too, the purchaser of that tax debt will receive what is called a non-warranty deed. Now, a non-warranty deed means that there's been no title service provided on that deed, because when we purchase that deed, we don't actually own the property. Okay. We have 6 months to 2 years before that property owner can redeem it from us. Okay. So we don't technically we own that property, but we don't own that property. We can't go and make improvements on that property. We can't legally walk on that property because we're trespassing. And keep that in mind when you're doing your due diligence. Don't go just walking around properties and putting your head in windows, especially in places like Texas.
You might get shot.
Yes, because you don't own the property.
And I want to interject one thing so I don't miss it. You know, I've seen this that people have done this when they were not fully educated about these things, where the homeowner has moved out. And so they're like, okay, I bought it. It's mine. And that's the thought process. It's empty. They go in and they start rehabbing the property. And then 5 months later, the homeowner shows up and pays the taxes. And they're like, well, you owe me, I've spent $30,000. I was like, oh, no, I don't owe you anything. You improved my property. I didn't improve yours. I'm just taking my property back. Yeah. The other thing that can happen, and one of my real estate attorneys had this conversation with me. He said the even worse than that is when a homeowner shows up, they redeem the property. They show up and say, oh, you've gone in and damaged my property, even though you may have completely rehabbed it and it's 3 times more valuable or 3 times prettier inside than it was prior to. You've damaged my property. You have to put my property back in the same condition it was in.
Or pay to have it put back in the position. Yeah.
Or pay me or we'll settle out of court. And oh my gosh, that's you can imagine the irony of that. But you have to know what your rights are as the buyer, as the purchaser. You got to know what you have the rights to do and not do. And it's not quite as simple as a lot of people might make it sound like. So make sure you investigate so that you don't make a mistake that could cost you thousands of dollars and cost you a ton of time when there's really no reason for that. It's just understanding what you have the right to do and not to do.
Right. Your deed comes in first position. But again, when you purchase that deed, you have no title guarantee on it. You have no warranty or anything else. So you don't know if there are any easement battles going on. You don't know if there's any legal battles going on regarding the property. You don't know if there's anything that's going on. You also don't know if there are IRS liens on the property. The only thing that does not go away is an IRS lien. The IRS lien still takes first position. So it trumps your deed. Now, can you usually negotiate with the IRS? Yes, usually, but not always. Okay. And again, remember, this is a scenario where you think you're going to get the property. All right. Most times you're not going to get the property. The other
Absolutely.
thing to allude to what Bill was talking about is when we purchase this thing, remember, we've got 2 more years on this lien. Okay. If they didn't pay the following year, then somebody else can buy that from us. If we've done anything to that property, that next person is now in line for that. And that's assuming the homeowner doesn't, or the property owner doesn't redeem that deed. So you're basically going to take this thing and you're going to put it on your desk or in a file cabinet or in your safe or something like that until the redemption period comes up. If the redemption period comes up, you honestly don't have to worry about it. You don't have to call the clerk and say, hey, did they pay their tax bill? Did they pay their tax bill? Did they pay the tax bill? As soon as they pay the tax bill, you'll get a check and it will automatically render your deed or your lien null and void. If you're looking for an investment that's going to be better than, say, a money market account or just your money earning interest in the bank, this is absolutely it. It's a superior investment. As far as me and as far as real estate investors who want to invest in real estate and who are more focused on our returns, okay, this is a lot of work and a lot of headache and a lot of due diligence for 25%. And again, remember, Texas is on that high end at 25%. Many states are much lower, like 7%. So if you are doing this because you've got nothing but money and you just can't buy enough properties, then great. Okay. If you're looking for a good return on investment that is honestly going to require less due diligence, is going to put more money in your pocket quicker, and is going to give you a actual investment that you can tangibly look at, feel, kick, see, touch, put tenants into, buying real estate is what Bill and I prefer to do. We'll talk about liens though, because honestly, you can't call yourself a real estate investor if you don't understand how this works and you don't understand how what we are doing is superior to buying tax liens and tax deeds.
Yeah.
Anything to add before we get out of here?
Yeah. If you've got a copy of the first edition of Are You Dumb Enough to Be Rich, there is an entire section on liens, deeds, and certificates. When I did the second edition, there had been a ton of changes. There was a lot of information I wanted to include in the first edition that just made it too big. So I left it out. When I did the second edition, there had been a lot of changes around the country in liens, deeds, and certificates. So I pulled that section out to be able to put in what I didn't put in the first time. You have to have 25% completely new content, not revised, completely new, for it to be considered a second edition, which means that the publishing world looks at it as a whole new book. And so first edition has tax liens, deeds, certificates. You can jump on Amazon and buy that, but make sure you're buying the first edition, not the second, because you will not have that.
And real quick too, while I'm thinking about it, this is a point I meant to bring up earlier and didn't. Whatever doesn't sell at the auction, okay, goes into basically a separate fund. They call it a fund, but you're able to purchase it over the counter. And if it's not purchased over the counter and it still goes into delinquent taxes, then the county owns that property and the county will sell those usually on a sealed bid situation. But if you're going to a busy county in Texas, like Tarrant County, Dallas County, Harris County, Bexar County, any of those counties, don't expect there to be any deeds left over. If you're going to smaller counties, then whatever doesn't sell at the auction, and sometimes it's everything because no one even shows up for the auction, it goes into a fund that you're available to purchase usually 90 days afterwards. You're able to buy that over the counter, and then you will be able to purchase that deed at face value of the deed and be able to get that 25% the first year and 50% the second year if it's not if it's homesteaded. So that wraps it up for us, I think. We will see you guys on Thursday when we'll talk about tax liens. Thanks for joining us.